People are gonna walk in front of the camera. It's okay. We'll just bear with it. Out here in Del Mar Beach. So let's start off today. Just doing a few simple restorative yin poses. So we'll start off today in Sukhasana. Finding length of the spine, drawing the palms to the thighs. Closing the eyes, taking in a nice breath through the nose. Open mouth exhale to release. Deep breath in through the nose. Open mouth exhale. One more time, deep breath in. Open mouth exhale. All right. First pose we're going to get into today is a little supported child's pose. So the big toes will come together, or just bringing the feet together towards the back edge of your mat, widening the knees to the wide edge, and then sliding the bolster, or if you're at home, you can slide a pillow underneath you, sliding it in towards the center of the hips, and then bringing the chest down onto the mat, gliding the palms forward. Now the chin can be straight down, can be to the left, to the right. Of course, always an option to just remove the bolster, setting the bolster to the side. And just coming down onto your chest without the support of the bolster. Taking several breaths here. Here we go, starting to bring yourselves up. Walk yourself forward, coming to a nice little seat on the tailbone, and then widening the legs, separating the ankles off the edges of your mat. Sitting up nice and tall here. Again, the aid of a bolster here is a little handy, bringing weight onto the forearms on top of the bolster here. Maybe even bringing the chest down. Allowing the head to hang heavy. Drinking in nice full breaths through the nose. And then again, back out through the nose. Back up. Bringing the soles of the feet together. Letting the knees butterfly out wide to the side. Hands can come to the tops of the ankles, tops of the shins. Use that as a little bit of leverage, propping yourself up here, finding a lot of length of the spine. Breathing in and out deeply. Again with the aid of the bolster. can also use blocks here. Rounding, folding forward. Without the bolster, just setting the bolster aside. Still coming down onto the forearms. Several options here. As I said, if you don't have a bolster, you can always just use a pillow, doubling the pillow up. If you need a little more height, you can prop the bolster up as so. May not feel like you're getting very far, but it's always about progress, not perfection. Couple more breaths here. Walking yourself back up, setting the bolster to the side. We're going to come down onto our backs now. So, here on your back, draw the heels in nice and close to the tailbone. Separate the feet, divide the feet about hip width distance. Taking a breath and then float the hips up towards the sky, towards the ceiling, and then slide your little bolster buddy underneath the sacrum, underneath the back of the hips, and then lower the hips back down on top of the bolster. So we're here in a nice little supported bridge. I'm sure most of you can go a little bit higher with the hips, but that's not the point of these postures today. Yes, we're getting a nice little stretch through the lower back, but we're adding the support of the bolster, taking away some of the gripping that we might do if we were holding ourselves up without the aid or the restorative support of the bolster. Let's take a couple breaths here. You can bring the arms up overhead, stretching the shoulders out. Now, if we were moving through this in a Yin series fashion, we'd be holding all these poses much longer. We hardly would have made it through the very first pose at this point. Moving through these poses a little bit quicker, just to establish a pattern for those of you practicing at home now during these quarantine times. So, just kind of showing you some poses that you can do. And then you can perhaps find a quiet little spot. And without the video in front of you, just move through several of these poses in your own timing, holding these poses for much longer. All right, bring the hands back along the side body, flipping the palms over, taking in a breath, floating both feet up towards the sky. Virtual legs at the wall with the support of the bolster underneath the hips. You can bring the hands to the backs of the thighs here if that feels good. Put a nice big juicy bend in the knees, pull the hips in or the knees nice and close to the chest. Arms wrap around the tops of the shins. Pull the shins and the tops of the thighs in nice and snug to the top of the chest. Oh, they're watching behind the camera this time. This is like my second or third trial of this. And people just wanted to walk in front of the camera. It's okay. Release the legs, lift them up nice and high. Bring both feet back down onto the mat. Lift the hips up towards the ceiling. And then release the hips down. So bring the bolster along the side. Knees will come in nice and snug to the chest, and then release both sets of knees. Take a breath in first here. Exhale, release both knees, both shins over to the right, propping them up on the bolster. Open the arms out nice and wide like a giant capital T. Find that left shoulder blade relaxing onto the ground. Breathing here. 2 more breaths. Drawing the knees in towards the chest. Bringing the bolster to the opposite side of your mat. And then releasing, after you siphon in a breath, releasing the shins over to the left, stacking them on top of the bolster, keeping that right shoulder blade, the back of the right shoulder blade, onto the mat as best you can. Are my undies sneaking out here? My little side rolls? Sorry about that. All right. Just breathe. 2 more breaths here. Draw the knees into the chest. Rock your seat. Bring the hands out in front of you. Behind you. Coming to the top of a high plank position. Taking a breath. Lower yourself all the way down to the chest. And then bring the forearms out in front of you like the number 11. Elbows are nice and snug towards the chest. Shining the chest through the forearms. Flipping the shoelace side of the feet onto the mat. Lifting the chest, finding the support with the forearms. Also an option to slide the bolster underneath the chest here for a little bit of support. Take a couple breaths here. Taking one more breath. Lower the chest all the way down to the mat. Bring the hands by the shoulders. Press into the mat. Lift yourself up. Downward facing dog. Walk the feet through. Coming to a nice ragdoll pose here. Nice big bend in the knees, weight of the chest on the thighs, grasping opposite elbows here. Just folding forward, folding the forehead down towards the shins. Starting to lift the hips up, finding some length in the backs of the legs, releasing the hands. Bending the legs together a few times here. Letting the weight of the head hang heavy. Couple breaths. Coming all the way down to the tailbone. Reaching for the bolster. Taking the bolster back to the midline of the mat. So that the bolster will line up in between the 2 shoulder blades. And it'll support the back of the skull when you lie back down. Releasing the back onto the bolster, right between the 2 shoulder blades, back of the skull supported. Arms are along the side body. You can bring the soles of the feet together here and open the knees out nice and wide to the side, pulling the heels up towards the tailbone, or you can walk the legs out nice and long, coming into somewhat of a supported fish pose here, or Shavasana with a nice little lift, or again, Supta Baddha Konasana, Shavasana. It's all about breathing. As you can see, many people are not practicing social distancing here today. Testing one, testing two.